Hello, welcome in. If you're here listening to this podcast, that means you are destined for something great, and we both know it to be true. So without further ado, welcome to the Dark Matter Podcast. Hey y'all, welcome back to the podcast. Dev here. Just got back from our vacation, and honestly, it was incredible. We're in Portland, Oregon, and as you guys know, we are fully plant-based and vegan, and that was honestly the place to be. There was so many incredible foods, so many incredible things to see. We traveled all over. And of course, my buddy's wedding was incredible. I gave my speech and all that jazz. I really did share it the way that I wanted to, so I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. And yeah, incredible. Kind of getting back and allowing things to go as is and go with the flow for a little bit. You realize, how quick things can move. And, as a quick reminder, as we're continuing to grow and do these things, don't let fear dictate that. Don't let fear dictate your decisions and your actions. Take a chance, take the risk as well. Do the things, because life is short. Coming back, we just had the most incredible week we've had in a little while. It's so fun. Then to hear that one of our neighbors had unfortunately taken her life, it's kind of like, damn, you kind of get caught up in the middle of it to realize that things can change very, very quickly. And I think with this, I want to go in this direction of the quiet grind and why stillness is the new strategy. I used to think if I wasn't doing something, making a post, researching something, doing something all the time, that I was falling behind. But the truth is, most of my biggest moves didn't happen when I was grinding. They happened when I was quiet enough to hear what was next. And I think that's just it. I feel like when things are moving all the time and we're in the hustle and we're in the grind and we're in the thick of it, we don't actually allow ourselves the quiet to listen to those intuitive nudges. And I think, I've talked about a lot of these things, the intuition piece. I've talked about the grinding and the hustling. I've talked about being in alignment. I've talked about reflecting. I've talked about a lot of these things in a lot of different ways. And the biggest thing here is just to remember that if you've ever experienced something where you were in a bit of a situation and you didn't know how you were going to get on the other side of it, but then it just came to you, if you've ever felt that, that is your intuition. And I think the time that we are in right now, it is really about knowing how to strengthen your intuition, knowing how to really build the power within your own mind to be confident and consciously aware of everything that can and cannot happen. Now, as a whole, some of the happiest people I've ever seen are happy because they got a grasp and a handle on their mind. Our minds, as we know, it can be our greatest asset, but also our biggest enemy. When we're kind of going through things and we have that whisper, we have the old lack of belief, all of these things that come in to deter us. I used to share this. I can't remember if I've shared this. I'm sure I did on the podcast earlier but I remember growing up, I was actually a very anxious kid because of a lot of different things. And going out, it was one of those things where even to just go to the corner store, I had to have a 30-minute dialogue within my own mind to convince myself that it's all good. Like, I can go out, right? And it was just the worst thing is, my mind would play these tricks to say, well, what happens if you go out and something happens? What if someone beats you up? What happens if the thing that you're going for isn't there? What happens if, the worst sorts of things that just come out? And it's like all these hypothetical situations for nothing at all. But my mind liked to play these tricks, and I used to have this own dialogue going back and forth with my own mind just to be able to go out to the store. Even social situations, you name it, I had to go through that. And what I realized is that is unfortunately something that doesn't just go away. That is something that you actually have to work at, get good at. Now doesn't happen like that. It happens in different ways. It doesn't go away. You just get better at handling it. That's the best way to put it. And so through this, whenever I hear of something tragic that happens, you it kind of makes you think about what was it in their minds? What were they thinking about? And I feel like that's just it, right? A lot of the successes or the challenges or a lot of the things that happen, it usually starts as an inner narration before anything ends up happening. And some of the, smartest people in the world have always said that, things that are created in the physical presence are created twice. It's created once in the mind and then in the physical reality. So it kind of has to be a thought at some point. And if we aren't able to get a grasp on that, this is why some of those challenging things, whether in business or relationships or whatever it is, this is why some of those things kind of end up happening. You even look at some of the tragic things that happen too, like as unfortunate as it might be, like the protests and the school shootings and all of these things. They are all things because someone had endured something that they shouldn't have, and they just, in my opinion, allowed their feelings to take over, and they weren't thinking with their logical mind anymore. They might not have been thinking at all. They just acted. And I think when people just act emotionally, of course, this is when things tend to get out of control. And so with this, a lot of this whole talk is on about stillness. It's about knowing how to calm your mind. It's knowing that you should want to do that. You need to do that, as a matter of fact, and whether you're in entrepreneurship or, you're just working away on your day-to-days, like, the better you can get at quieting your mind, the better it is. And it's scary. It really is. It will feel scary, especially for, you, the ambitious person, because we're used to go. Everything that we see is always moving. I mean, heck, you even look at everything on a subliminal level. I mean, companies marketing changes, shoe companies come out with different shoes twice a year. New phones come out every year. There's new laptops and computers and everything you can imagine. AI is now, there's so many different AIs. Like, everything is just geared to making you feel like innovation and moving forward is the only way to win. When sometimes you can actually win by growing internally. And I think about it as a whole, when you try to force momentum, sometimes it actually backfires. It doesn't actually allow you to have the same impact that it could have, because it was a forced thing. When we look at it as a whole, I talk about being in alignment. And of course, the main difference between working from alignment and out of anxiety is the quiet of the mind. When even if you're kind of out of alignment with something just a little bit versus out of anxiety, it's very different, and it feels like a world of difference because of the internal narration. You can get by doing something that's not totally in alignment, and you can get through it with actually more ease than someone who's going through it out of anxiety, right? And stress. Like, you're running a launch, right? For example, for your business, which we're actually running one next week. Link down below if you want to check it out. But here's the thing, right? Like, if you are calm in the mind and you realize that it will get better and better as you get better and better, and there's no way to actually lose this other than to quit, you can actually do an incredible thing. Even if no one signs up, you'll still be good because you've calmed your mind enough to realize that this is one of those things where you want to check in on the natural evolution of it, not the right here and right now. Instead of anxiety, you're like, oh, well, I got bills to pay, I got these things to pay, I got to make money, I have to do it right now. And if you don't, it's going to feel like a failure. If you don't enroll clients, oh, then this happens, and this happens, and this happens, right? We all have that habit of looking at what happens if this doesn't happen, or what happens if I don't get this job, or don't get the relationship, or don't do this and don't do that. But these are the things that we really need to be stronger than, because sometimes those are the things that completely deter us from something that could have been the thing for us. So using that to your advantage, once you get a handle on it, that is your intuition. Knowing how to run your life and your business with your intuition is such a powerful piece. And you don't have to do much to create that stillness without guilt, without the overthinking. It will, like I said, it will feel uncomfortable early, but as you do it more, you'll get stronger and better with it. If you just set an alarm and every 2 hours, every hour, you just take a 10-minute breather. And that doesn't mean you take a 10-minute breather and jump on socials. Literally 10 minutes, go walk outside. 10 minutes, go play with your dog. 10 minutes, just sit in the quiet and just like calm your mind. Take a nap. Do something that just allows you to just quiet. Journal. Meditate. These micro pauses do so much for you. And I think we feel, again, like we put this pressure on ourselves because of whatever else is going on in the world. And we feel like we can't take days off. We can't take downtime. We can't do these things. But those are the things that lead people to burnout. I remember one of my last mentors years ago used to tell me, I don't take days off. I never take days off. It's like, well, what are you doing now? At the time, I get it. At the time, it's like hustle mode. It's this and it's that. And maybe it works for 1, 2, 5, 10 years, but your whole life never taking a day off, never wanting to give yourself that. And I get it, sometimes people have goals and they won't stop working until they make $10 million or whatever, but it's in that you realize that it's not actually that simple. And so at the end of the day, whatever it is that you're working on right now, realize that it's good to allow yourself the time to get good at it. Allow yourself the time to see the evolution. Allow yourself to mess up and lose and fail a little bit. Do it. It's part of the process. And if anything, that is important to the process because that's what builds the experience. And through it all, the most important thing of it all is to remember that when you do get things, those challenges, these situations, these setbacks, more importantly, these internal narratives, we understand it, we catch it, and we beat it. Because if we aren't able to beat our own internal narratives, we will never be able to make the impact we know we deserve. And everyone has them. Your favorite actor, musician, artist, everyone has them. But they're at different stages because it grows with you. And things that, for me, I had to have a battle with my own mind to go to a store. Now I don't. But now it's a different sort of battle with different sort of things that never even were in my awareness at that point. So keep growing. Keep being the best version of yourself that you can be. And remember, it does happen for the people that know how to quiet their mind. It's not about continuing to move forward. It's not about just hustling and moving forward. It's about knowing how to quiet the mind so you can be the best version of yourself that you can be. So, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Links down below, including to our 2-day event Jess and I are running, one teaching you how to start your own online business. Links are down below for all that jazz. Go check it out. As always, y'all, I'll catch you on the next one. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, share, subscribe to it all. You know I appreciate it. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one.